Hello and welcome to It's About Youth with me, Fei Kwan. 2024 is on track to become the world's hottest year on record, and with temperatures soaring beyond average levels, sustainable development is now more crucial than ever. Joining me on the show today to discuss a little bit more about this is Diyana Mohd Amin, the Head of Sustainability and ESG at Iskandar Investment Bhd, or better known as IIB, as well as Hidayat and Norsyahira Saffiee, the Head and Co-Heads of Strategic Content and Forum Management at the Youth Sustainability Forum 2024. Right. Thank you so much, the three of you, for joining me in the studio today.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. Now, firstly, when we talk a little bit about sustainability, Diyana, perhaps you can take this. How would you evaluate Malaysia's progress in implementing sustainability initiatives?
I believe we are in a very good pace, more than ever. And I think Malaysia have a very, very good passion in integrating everything that we have done so far. Of course, for overall of the, the entire industry and the whole world per se have their different pace from industry to another. So that will be depending on industries as well, but everyone is really looking into moving forward in energy transition properly, nicely. And I think the things, for example, the capacity of ESG reporting or sustainability reporting have hiked up. And I think that's a good thing in terms of understanding the transparency from all these companies in the industry, as well as how we can reach out and relate to the communities as well, and what are the contributions and the integration of their operations and their contributions to the society eventually. So it's in a really good pace. Again, I'm very sorry. Basically, of course, we do need to do more. Yeah. It's always good to always elevate and enhance, but Malaysia, it's safe to say, we're in very good pace with the good support that we have so far from all the quadruple helix that we have.
So I think it's good news to hear that we are on the right track and we are heading in the right direction. You mentioned, people are looking forward to that energy transition thing. Malaysia, of course, does plan to achieve net zero emissions by 2050. But Hidayat, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges, or rather opportunities at the same time, for Malaysia to transition in this process of transitioning to renewable energy?
Sure, but allow me to set context to the audience out there. What is a net zero emission? So net zero refers to a state in which greenhouse gases in the atmosphere are balanced out by the removal out of the atmosphere. And in order to achieve net zero emission, we need to identify what are the sources of emissions. They can come from transportation, agriculture, manufacturing, or even electricity and heat production. But in order to create significant impact, we need to address emission contribution from the largest sector, which is electricity and heat, which is why we've seen government's commitment in transitioning to renewable energy, as we have seen in the Net Energy Transition Roadmap, or NETR, where we have pledged to achieve renewable energy capacity mix by 70% by 2050. So to answer your question, what are the main challenges in Malaysia to achieve net zero? I would say that if I could pick one, it's to balance the energy trilemma, which is energy security, energy equity, and environmental sustainability. So Malaysia has always been at the forefront of these two dimensions, equity and security. So for the longest time, I don't think we have had blackouts. The last time we have had blackouts, at least in my personal opinion, is when I was a child.
Yeah, I think a lot of the audience can relate blackouts during primary school.
And also for the longest time as well, we've been paying quite a competitive rate of electricity prices and stable at that. And only recently that the government decided to remove some of that subsidy away. Right. So only the third component, which is the environmental sustainability, which is quite challenging. And it is totally understandable because that's the part where the greenhouse gas emission part comes in. It's understandable why it's challenging, because introducing renewable energy systems into Malaysia can come at a cost at these two other components, energy security and equity. But allow me to explore another challenge. There's also this thing called the just or human part of the transition, or the just energy transition. So as an impact strategist at Impacto, we consult companies and advise them on their sustainability strategy. So our approach at decarbonization has always been about emphasizing climate justice and including marginalized groups within the renewable energy transition. So take the Murum Dam, for example. Recently, it has been used as a carbon credit in the Bursa exchange. And in developing the dam, it has caused myriad of environmental and social challenge. And on the latter, it has caused displacements of few, let me find the indigenous names, Pinan and Kenya, about 1,400 of villages, they have been resettled without their free, prior and informed consent. So regardless of these challenges, there are opportunities abound. So from technology to the creation of jobs. But one thing that I would emphasize is that this transition would spur economic growth by bringing in creation of new jobs. So the International Energy Agency, or the IEA, have estimated that there will be about 14 million jobs, new jobs created with the transition.
You know, it's good to hear that there are these opportunities, and that just energy transition that you mentioned, Hidayat, is really ensuring that no one gets left behind as we move forward. But going a little bit further out, looking at it from a bigger lens, we're not the only one trying to move in this direction. It's the whole of ASEAN, it's the whole world that's racing against greenhouse gas emissions. Shahira, where do you see the sustainability challenges for ASEAN as a region, and where do you think we can collaboratively work together to address these issues?
Right. I think it's time for us to stop claiming the country A, blaming the country B, and country C blaming the country A. We need to stop it, but by strengthening our policy, our framework, and also collaborate on this. Every country needs to sit down and having the right policy. And even Malaysia itself, we have the policy on climate change, but the latest one is National Policy of Climate Change is 2019. So I think we really need the strong urge to propose that Malaysia really need to have a new latest policy on climate change. But I also want to enhance that every policy that Malaysians have developed, we really need to find the right way on how to implement it. Not only on the papers, but also how we can. But because as for now, I believe that still some people on maybe some part of Malaysia really still don't know what is climate change is about and how we want to combat this issue. This is a collective efforts from all, not only from the stakeholders. Everyone need to contribute themselves and be part of the solution, not the pollution. Yeah, and the one more thing that I would like to enhance is on the how to address this issue is through the funding, because as we see the climate, they provide money, they fund monies for climate mitigation for $471 million, which is higher than for climate adaptation, yeah, which is about $56 billion. So I think there's some action that we need to do today.
Yeah, as you said, it's time to stop playing the blame game, because we all have a part to play in this, right? And the bigger issue, hence the phrase human-induced climate change, because we are also the reason why we're facing the current situation now. So in that sense then, Diyana, I know you've had experience, or rather you've been involved in projects such as the Tun Razak Exchange, DRX and Merdeka 118 projects. What would you say is the best way forward for Malaysia to balance both our urban development as well as the need for sustainable practices?
I believe there's a lot of ways to move forward, and that's why you have pillars and pillars of channels, because some of it is actually very diverse and vast. As you said, going into urban development or urban planning, it's one way to look into energy transition and achieving net zero or just transition, for example. Of course, the other ways would play important part as well in terms of the materials that we're using for constructions, and then looking into waste management. How do we curate our waste management program in the project development of our certain developments, definitely. So urban development actually plays a lot of important parts. For example, in our SDG 11, of course, cities and communities, that's and SDG 7, clear and clean energy. Those plays important part in terms of how do we get there, but we still develop our country with economic growth, because eventually we would need to be developed. Of course, that's where some other parts of the urban planning and urban programming as well is to look into biodiversity protection and biodiversity nurturing. So when we say about pillars just now, our IIB, we actually have pillars as diverse as from decarbonization and urban planning to land use and biodiversity protection. So because we do have assets in our areas that look into, mangroves, we have 1,000 acres of mangroves to 800 acres of mangroves, and where else we are also mandated to, develop responsibly in the areas that we are, and therefore we would need to ensure that everything is integrated well, and that goes into a roadmap that we're doing. And the roadmap will have milestones such as, phases. So you have phases from phase 1 to phase 1 being the first 5 years. And then we will look into how is that really integrate well with the surrounding community, as well as where the COP programs are going to be, the conversations are going to go into and stuff like that. And definitely stick to how do we actually look at decarbonizing actions and enablers very well. So in terms of, like you were saying, involvements in such skyscrapers in Malaysia, definitely we work with a lot of experts back then, and of course I bring the expertise now to IIB and to the area of that Johor that we're building, because we're looking at how that can actually assist in decarbonizing by design. So we were saying that, mitigation, just now we were saying mitigation is important, certainly, but moving forward, we do need to stop producing such pollutions anyway by design. So according to the urban planning, you will need to be able to, have a sponge city concepts or things like that that can assist with understanding the nature of our area, with EIA, assessment impact, and risk assessments that are very important to ensure that everything that we do is being taken care of to all the risks that needs to be able to be catered on, and reduce the risk, as well as ensuring that the development goes very well.
And there's this argument, of course, that there's, in these developments and in the roadmap, youth need to be involved and they need to have a seat at the table, because this will be the environment that they are inheriting as they become the next generation of leaders. Shahira, leading up to the Youth Sustainability Forum, which will be held from August 16th to August 20th, what role do you believe the youth have to play when advocating for sustainability, and how can we further empower them?
All right. So when we talk about youth, we know what they can bring to the table. They are very energetic. They can bring the talent, fresh perspective, and also they have this deep sense of urgency. All right. So we need to believe also that youth can be the catalyst of change in our society. For example, Khairul Amin and Alif Sattar, we know how the big potential that youth can bring into. So in case of this sustainability, what youth can do is like they able to identify and challenge the existing power structure and the barriers for the changes. So and also youth able to as the middle generation, they also engage more with the senior as also the young generations. So it's easier for youth to act as the communicator in like your community, your society, your organization. So it's easier for you to engage with them and develop for the development of sustainability agenda. So I think that's the main role of youth. But how they can actually get the knowledge. So with YSF, we provide we bring out of the speakers around Asians and also Malaysia to share of their skills and also perspective. And but the question just now, how we can empower youth. Firstly, I would like to emphasize that what youth would need in this area is that first, the education, as I mentioned before. And the education is not really need to be informal, like everyone needs to, I think mostly everyone of us need to go to an institution. But the education for sustainability, because sustainability is a way of life. It's not really, yes, we have developed the module and what's not, but today is 2024. Everything is like in fingers, tip of fingers, right?
Yep.
So we can search everything on it, and but we also have maybe informal education like seminars, workshop. Like me from UKMYSD, Yayasan Saim-Dabi, we always provide the what we call sustainability living workshop for the community, such as with Saim-Dabi property, and also we teach them how to manage our waste at home in organic and inorganic. Because most of us, I believe that we don't have the facilities to segregate our waste at home. I think we should start from there. So that's the education that we need to provide for that youth can provide also. And it's also aligns with SDG 4, quality education. So next, what youth demand for is the opportunity to learn, to participate, to be heard, and also to get engaged and involved in the decision making. Some of the current framework or roadmap we have nowadays, we need to put some group of youth to share on their voices and also to their perspective. Yes, I believe that's what we can provide to youth in order to empower them.
I think all very important points that you've mentioned, especially as we approach International Youth Day as well later this August. But also back to the Youth Sustainability Forum, that is also another area I think that youth can come to learn or rather have their voices heard. Hidayat, can you share a little bit more about the event and what participants can expect from it?
Sure. So the Youth Sustainability Forum 2024 or YSF is an initiative by Kelab Belia Prihatin. We are a youth collective that advocates for sustainability practices in Malaysia. So there are quite a few reasons why we want to host the YSF, but the main reason is one is to provide a platform for climate activists, the general public, experts from different stakeholders to convene, give them a platform to discuss and collaborate and explore solutions on tackling climate change, issues such as climate change, sustainable development, environmental conservation. Another reason why we are hosting the YSF is because the YSF is actually a part of a larger comprehensive roadmap. So it started off with our event in August, and then it will continue at the Regional Conference of Youth, or RCOY, in September, and it will culminate at the Conference of Parties, or COP, in November. So our hope are twofold actually. One is we hope that the learnings and findings that we get from this year's YSF will be tabled and discussed at ARCOI on the regional level, and then will be transformed into global policy later at Conference of Parties later this November. And another hope that we, or rather motivation that we want with YSF is we hope to make YSF a prestigious regional event, just like how ARCOI is a Asia Pacific event, but YSF, we intend it to be an ASEAN level event. So this is also in line with Malaysia being the chair of ASEAN next year. Yeah. So that's the reason why also we have brought in quite a lot of impressive line of speakers from countries, Southeast Asian countries. Allow me to just share with you some a few names. From the government side, we are very honored to have our Deputy Prime Minister, also known as the Minister of Energy Transition and Water Transformation, Yang Muhammad Dato Sri Haji Fadilah Yusof. And also he is joined by YB Nik Nazmi, the Minister of Ministry of Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability. And for the second time, we are also honored to have the Deputy Minister of Economy, YB Datuk Hajah Hanifah Hajah Taib. So their participation, this government representative are very important to us, because as youth, we need to be able to understand what are the policies and plans that these people have in place. And also what we're going to be talking about among the youth, we need to have the other party to listen to what we have to say. So, because all of our opinion and our input will be taken by policymakers such as them. And there are also speakers, like I mentioned, from ASEAN. We have a renewable energy expert from Thailand, we have policy expert from Brunei, and we have youth advocates coming from Indonesia. But for those who, there are a lot more speakers that it'll be quite a lot of time for me to cover, but for those who are interested at home, please do visit our website at ysf.asia to learn more about the forum and learn more about the speakers.
Right, thank you so much for that explanation. We're almost out of time, but very quickly, I'd just like to get the three of you to comment. We've talked a little bit about how the importance of youth advocacy when driving for policy changes and the urgent need now more than ever for sustainable development. I'm curious to know, where do you three envision the future of Malaysia's development and process in sustainability, perhaps over the next decade? Perhaps Hidayat, we'll start with you.
Sure. Within the next decade, I would like to see that sustainability is not something that we have to think really hard. It's just that something that it's deeply ingrained in our brain, in our culture, not just us individuals, but people with power, people who are policymakers, business owners, corporates, because these are the people who are able to create real change. And again, every decision that they make, they think about sustainability, they think about planet, they think about people first rather than profit.
All right. And Shahira, how about you?
Yeah, for me, I envision Malaysia as first our main target on energy transition. I think we really need to fastly phase out the fossil fuel-based energy. And I hope Malaysia able to achieve our target of 40% renewable energy by 2035. Secondly, what I want to emphasize here, that we demand for effective governance, and we heard that every politicians maybe or the policymakers that can do stop with the political issues. I'm sorry to mention this, but our focus right now, we have the big issues on the climate change and what's not. because it's time to make a movement. Not only don't focus on the benefits of ourselves or maybe the party or the groups, but really have ambitious target to make Malaysia as a green nation with the civilized people. Yeah, that's my dreams.
All right. And how about you, Diyana?
IIB, our motto is building an inclusive and sustainable metropolis of the future. With that, we certainly would like to be one of the, and of course, together, like you said, everyone should have that in mind to develop a community that is well versed in sustainability and embedded it inside our growing up as a culture. So definitely, you know, it should be just English or mathematics for us. 1 + 1, you know, it's 2. So it's something that we should need to be taught later on. But of course, we are still going there. The good thing is we have all the youths with their passions and with our passions. With everyone is doing well in terms of you know, collaborating together.
All right. Thank you so much, the three of you, for sharing your insights today. I've been speaking to Diyana Mohd Amin from Iskandar Investment Bhd, as well as Hidayat and Norsyahira Saffiee from the Youth Sustainability Forum 2024. This has been It's About Youth with me, Fei Kwan. Thank you for watching and good night.